Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Dawah Ilallah as we go through the comparative sciences and ways that we can learn through the sciences how we can be effective in the art of calling people to Islam. How to make the work of Dawah sustainable. We're not only talking about theological issues and religious issues, but we're also talking about issues that will help us to be effective in the work we're doing. So we've looked at how can we change ourselves? How can we look at cultural issues that might be a stumbling block or cause us a hindrance in the work that we're doing? And we've also looked at how we can listen and retain information longer. And now we're looking at simple things like how to do fundraising to keep the work of Dawah sustainable. And we said that fundraising is not only about money. In fact, money is only a small part of it. We said that we're not going to go to the donors and ask them to give us money. We're going to ask them to become partners in the work that we are doing. We want them to feel that they have a role to play in Dawah Ilallah. We also said that we need to think big and make it tangible to us so that we can actually get that job done. Sometimes we have huge, big ideas and we never get them done. So we have to be able to say, we can do that, set the bar high and reach it. And then we said that we need to have a clear proposal of what our organization stands for or what our group stands for, what we are doing. So it mustn't be vague and say, we're all about doing dawah. I mean, that doesn't actually tell anybody anything. And so you're saying to the people, please fund us, we're all about calling. Calling to what? What are your beliefs? Are you calling to some crazy group or are you calling to some middle of the road Islam? Or are you calling to some extremism? What are you calling people to do? So you have to be clear. Say we are calling people to this or that or the other. So you need to be clear in what you are saying in your fundraising. Share the problems as well as your successes we spoke about last time. Don't just show how great we are. Also explain to the people these are our failures, these are our shortcomings. This is what we learned from those failures. This is some of the bad things. You know, like often in Hollywood or Bollywood, I don't know which one, they have a film and at the end of it they show all the mistakes they made in the film. Why do they do that? Why would you show the mistakes you made in the film to viewers? Because the viewers like it even more. They say, look at them, they're real people. People connect with that. Well, they call it bloopers or something like that. So the same thing we want to do is also reveal our shortcomings, our mistakes. And it becomes people trust us more. Not because we're doing it in a fake way, but because we want them to be partners with us. You can't bring a partner into a partnership if you lie to them about what you're actually doing. Then you're not asking for a partner. Next thing we spoke about is how branding is important. So you're having a brand, someone who brands your organization. Doesn't mean you have to get somebody from outside to come and brand it, but if you have the funds to do that, rather do that. I had a branding person who contacted me and said, would you like the services? We'll come and help brand you. And when they first told me that, I thought they were crazy. And then afterwards I thought about it, I thought, you know what, this is what the Christians do, this is what businessmen do, this is what the rest of the world does, and in Islam we think we shouldn't do that. Branding is important, because they'll tell you the do's and don'ts of how to project what you need to do for the rest of humanity to see. Sometimes branding can be a good thing, but keep a balance in this. We're not talking about personal branding of your own name. We're talking about branding of the work that you're going to be doing. And this is an interesting point that I'd like to raise as well. It's a warning, if you will, for big Muslim organizations, all the other organizations in the world that are big, well-known organizations. Most of the organizations in the world are personality-driven, and it can be dangerous. Because if that personality no longer is in the organization, many of these organizations collapse after they leave. We must make sure that our organization, when it is branded, that we also make sure that we have systems and balances in place, that if something, Allah forbid, that it happens, that things are there to continue. That there's a chain that will continue to follow the legacy and the legend that was set in place in the beginning. Lots of organizations, lots, have fallen apart. The vast majority, if not all of them, have fallen apart after their leader goes. So you want to make sure that those systems are in place. But it's like a life insurance salesman. We have to tell you, you have to think of the worst case scenarios, not only the good, the best case scenarios. So this is a challenge to all those organizations who are doing great work throughout the world. Please, 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 don't let the work die with you. Make sure that there's systems in place to protect the organization so that it will continue with the same vision. Also, make sure that when you're doing fundraising, not just talking about fundraising with money, book-wise, maybe you're going to be giving out food hampers, whatever it is, make sure you have trustworthy people doing that. The best of people. Because it only takes one person to destroy an organization. One rumor to start. They can have rumors about your Aqidah, they can have rumors about your habits of dress, they can have rumors about anything. But the minute there's a rumor about money, that is the end. No one will come near you. So you have to be very, very, very cautious with that. Always, always, always say Jazakallah khair for any type of support or help that you get. Always say thank you, no matter what the contribution might be. The best way to say thank you is a formal letter, not a verbal one. You can say to the person, thank you very much for your donation. You can even pick up a phone call or send an email. It's not good enough. You need to send them a hard-copied letter. There was a man in America, in Florida. He's in correctional services, he's in there for life. He's a lifer. In other words, he's never going to get out of jail. He committed a crime when he was 16 years old. He had committed 3 crimes. Small, petty crimes. But the third one, unfortunately, was quite a major one. He got into a bar fight, and the person died, manslaughter. But because of the laws, he gets life in prison. He is now in his 30s already. It's a sad, very, very sad situation. He sent me a check to support my organization for $1. And a lot of people laughed at him. A lot thought it was stupid. So I made sure that you don't just take that check and think, oh, well, it's worth nothing. That dollar was enough to pay for a Quran to be printed. So 1 Quran went out with that $1. So you never, ever underestimate somebody's contribution. And always give them as much credit as the person who sent you $10,000. There's no difference between $1 and $10,000. Not a single difference. You don't give the $10,000 person the VIP treatment and the $1 person, oh, well, he only sent $1. We're not working like the rest of society. This is Allah's money going into Allah's cause. So you don't look at any value difference. Same treatment for both. So give them, if this one gets, because he sent $10,000, he gets the same gold letterhead as the guy who sent $1. Okay, so this is very, very important. That supports you. You have no idea how Allah has worked with that person's life. That man in jail, that dollar's a lot of money. The person who sent $10,000, they already got so much money. Understand? So what we want to put, we must be very cautious. So fundraising, always, always say thank you, and not just verbally, send it in writing as well. Always have a clear vision and a strategy of where you are going in the long term. Don't have a 1 month, 2 month or 1 year plan. Have a 10-year plan. The smallest amount of time is a 10-year plan for your organization. If you see yourself only being around for a year, don't do it. Rather go to somebody else and support their work. Support their organization. Join them. Have a 10-year survival plan. Where do we see ourselves in the next 10 years? Do not be reactive, be proactive. Don't wait for issues to come up and then your organization reacts. Anticipate what will happen before it happens. Sit in your boardroom. Remember, we spoke about having a strategy plan, having your war room. Sit down as da'is and say, when this happens, even though it hasn't happened, let's prepare a letter for that already. When they have a burn the Quran day again, let's have a letter ready to send out immediately. The minute somebody says, did you hear, press that send button, and off it goes because you've already written it a long time ago. Always be prepared for every possible outcome. Don't wait and then go, okay, we need to get the guys together and discuss what we're going to say, and then it goes on for 5 more board meetings, and then another board meeting, and another meeting, and another meeting, and by that time it's over, and everybody else has already written stories. When there's an issue that happens in South Africa, they don't hunt around who they're going to ask, they phone me. Because I immediately react with whatever's going to happen. So they immediately, If Mandela is sick, they don't go phone 50 different Muslims in South Africa trying to get a reaction. They'll phone me and say, what is the Muslims' viewpoint on the ex-president of South Africa being sick now? Because I have a push-button system. You know, I just fill in the blanks and push it off to all the different people, all the different newspapers and journalists. So you must make sure that your organization has clear goals, clear actions in place, and that it has systems in place so that it's not reactionary. Let's take a break. When we get back from the break, we'll continue, inshallah.
Dialogue. Discussion. Debate. Rebuttal. Conclusion.
Eliminate misconceptions about religion. Get enlightened.
Witness Dr. Zakir Naik in a battle of words in Crossfire every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 12:30 p.m. UK on Peace TV. Courage it takes to stand up for what you believe in. Courage it takes to be true and righteous. Courage it takes to dare and answer your questions, be they social, political, economic, educational, or religious. To get clear and convincing answers,
Test your courage and question me in Dare to Ask.
Dare to Ask, next on Peace TV.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, and we have been speaking about how we can be successful in the work that we're doing in Dawah, especially when you're starting up maybe a small-scale Dawah organization. Maybe 5 of you from school have got together in the MSA, and you're thinking, how can we go forward? We're showing you ways that you can raise funds, not just money-wise. In South Africa, there's a group at the medical school in Johannesburg. Everyone knows Johannesburg worldwide. It's like New York of South Africa. And they go fundraising, but hardly ever is it for money. It's always for books, for toppies, for kurtas, for whatever it is, so they can give it out to people when they revert. So make sure that you have systems in place. We said that don't become reactionaries. So wait, oh no, now they've drawn another picture of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now how are we going to respond? Think of every scenario, even if it's something silly. Prepare for it. What happens if some celebrity gets raped? What happens if a celebrity gets murdered? What is the reaction going to be of the Muslim community? Have that prepared. Think of every possible scenario. Do you know that the war rooms, America, Britain, Japan, China, India, every country in the world, that's what their strategists do. They say, what if? They're the what if guys. They're the what if group. They're not waiting for it to happen and then figure out what the plan will be. They call war games. We need to be like that as well with our dawah. We have to have every possible scenario prepared for. So that journalists wants to contact you, that the media want to contact you out of all the other people in your country. They will phone you because they know you're always up to date. You're always on the ball. You don't want to have this organization, 1 week they're answering this, the 1 week they answer that. You want the same guy all the time. Who are they going to call? Not Ghostbusters. They're going to call you. They're going to know that you have the right answer for what happens. Another important thing is use the funds when they come. Do not sit with warehouses full of money, warehouses full of books, warehouses full of clothing and food and things like that. No. When you get it, use it. It's not yours to keep. It was given to you by the people for you to use. So don't sit with big warehouses. It shocks me when I see that. And you go there, I've seen this in well-known organizations in South Africa. You go there and you look and you say, do you have any books that we can distribute for dawah purposes or whatever? I go around always looking for books. And they say, yeah, let me take you down to it. And all the things are rotten. And the moths have eaten all the things and they're just rotten. Beautiful books. They could have been distributed. Full of damp and wet and they're just sitting there rotten. What a terrible tragedy. We must distribute those things. If you get sent a container of books, distribute that container of books within 6 months. If you can't, then divide that container amongst 5 or 6 other organizations so they can use it within the next 6 months. Do not sit with it. With funding, I am of the same, I know some people will say no, I use it immediately. If somebody sends me $1,000, it needs to be gone by the end of the month. Not on my stuff, not for me, it must be used. It must go into whatever they ask for it to go to. Again, there was a youngster from India who sent me very small amounts of money. Very, very small. Like an electronic transfer. And he said, I want you to distribute it amongst 5 different things. Gave me a list of 5 different things that must be distributed. One for a poor person, one for a homeless person, like all these things. So I had to go around, but it's very small amounts of money. But I have to follow it. It costs me more to go do what he told me than what the money was that he sent me. But it's my job and my duty to follow out exactly to the letter what he asked me to do. You understand? This is our responsibility. We can't just throw it into an account and say, well, we'll wait until there's this amount and then we'll go do what the person told us. No, we must do it. They are waiting for the reward for that. I'm just the worker. He needs to get the rewards for what he sent the money for, or whatever he sent the books for, or whatever he sent the Qurans for. I have a lot of people sending me like their old Qurans, old books, that I mustn't sit in a bookshelf, on my bookshelf. They must go out to the street again because they trusted me. So we have to be very, very cautious when you work of dawah and you're calling yourself a caller to submit to Allah, that you fulfill these requirements. It's a big responsibility. It's not easy to do this work. It's very, very, very difficult. Do not fool yourselves that dawah ilallah is going to be an easy job. I can quit my job and do this job because, hey, it'll be easy. It is hard work. I work 7 days of the month, I do secular work. The rest of the time I do this work. Because I have to have that secular job to pay my bills. I can't live otherwise. I won't have the money to survive. And people say, well, why don't you just quit that job and do this job? You know how difficult it is even to do this work with funding coming from your own money. So do not believe that it's going to be an easy, smooth sailing for you. It's going to be tough. But it's the right thing to do. So being tough doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. It's tough, you must do it. But don't be fooled. Don't think that it's going to be smooth sailing the whole way. It's going to be hard work, but it's going to be beautiful work. It's going to be the best work. You're doing it for the greatest reward imaginable. You're going to get paid in the hereafter, inshallah. And every single one of those people you must care about and love and have compassion for. So let's get back to the topic. We've got sidetracked there. So make sure that whatever you get, you distribute. That's the most important. Design a long-term strategy that the organization is capable of doing, and try to work with other organizations. Don't be on your own. Work with other organizations. One of the saddest things that I've seen in my country is that we have in one road 4 or 5 organizations which are exactly the same, and they're all fighting against each other. And all they do is fight with each other all the time. And they don't go ahead. But we're seeing wonderful things happening now. And it's happening in the most amazing way, where some of them are starting to realize. Some of the bigger groups are starting to realize it's not possible to work in isolation. You have to cooperate with each other, no matter how much bad blood there might have been. Forgive and forget. Move forward. Start working together. You can still have your separate fundraising efforts and everything like that, but you need to work together for the sake of Islam. There's nothing more distracting than when you go at certain times of year when they all go fundraising and the one person walks into the office and he might have seen you sitting in the waiting room. Not that I do this, but I know the others do it, because I don't do fundraising. So they come in and they'll say to the person that they're getting funds from, don't give to them. They did this wrong, that wrong, that wrong. They run them down. Then they go out and the next one comes in and says the same thing about the person who just left. What impression are you leaving with the donor? He's going, what is Islam? You're putting doubt in his heart. He's not thinking that you're hypocrites. He's not worried about your organization. That's the worst thing you can do. For the sake of making that man a stronger Muslim and keeping him on the deen of Islam, you owe it to him to only be the best you can be, to reflect Islam in the best light and never to run down another organization or another brother or another scholar. Your job is to project the best to that person. You're doing dawah to him even though you're asking for funds from him. You're not only getting money from him, not only getting objects from him or possessions or whatever you're going to be getting from him, inshallah, you're also giving him something. You're giving him pride at being a Muslim. You're giving him encouragement to remain a Muslim. This is I cannot stress how important this is. That's why I said you have to have the right people going out. Some people have, there's this one guy in this one organization, I would love to have him on my team. He's just brilliant. Everything he touches turns to gold. He's just one of those guys, he can go to talk to someone and you have the funding for the rest of the year. Not a problem. He's just got the gift. And he knows that he's good at it. And he's just brilliant at raising funds. He's a good guy to have, you know. You never have any wants, or you always have what you need. But then you have other guys who go out and you know whatever they touch is going to break. So you make sure you have the right people. If you know somebody is good at public speaking, good at fundraising, brilliant, use them. I'm the worst at fundraising. Seriously, I'll tell you right now. Don't ever hire me to go do fundraising. Don't invite me to your country to fundraise. I'm the worst. Because I'll stand up there and say, please don't give the money to any organization. That's the first thing I do. So I'm the worst. Like I'll say to people, how many times have you heard me on Peace TV saying, don't give me money? I'm the worst. People look at me like they go, you're crazy. Rather just keep quiet. Why do you open your mouth about things like that? Because I'm just not good at it. My brother is brilliant at it. My brother can go to somebody who's got nothing and he'll walk out with a big massive check. I don't know how he does it. So some people are good and some people are not. So make sure you don't use the Areeb Islams. You use the Shaheen Islams. My brother, he used that type of person. So also think of how much you can add as your organization to the community you're at as well. What is the benefit of our organization to the rest of the community? How are we going to help with the community? Obviously, you're bringing funds in, whether it be book form, money, people, whatever it is. How am I now going to benefit society, other than the fact that I'm going to be calling people to Islam? What can I also do on the sidelines? What I really like to see about many of the organizations is that you'll find them doing, like, say, Peace TV, but they're also doing other projects. They're doing projects with the housing, children's homes, retirement villages, things like that. That's very, very important. So you have to have the work that you're doing as an organization, but you must also be giving back to the community. What are you giving back? We've done a lot in this last 2 episodes about how you can be more effective in fundraising and how you can be more successful in your organization. These are just pointers. And none of these thoughts are original, by the way. They've all been plagiarized by other writers from other people at different times. And I encourage you to do exactly the same. To build upon what I have given you, plagiarize as much as you like, and add to it. Increase it. Make it better than what you've heard today. So at home, if you've been taking ideas and you've been taking thoughts, remember, steal as much as you can and as far as knowledge is concerned. Always steal knowledge. Nothing else you can steal. Everything else is not yours. But the only thing you're allowed to steal is knowledge. And that knowledge you must pass on to other people. If you keep it for yourself, then you're a very bad thief. A thief always takes his loot and he gets rid of it as quickly as possible and turns it into something else. So we thank you for joining us, and we ask Allah to guide and direct each one of you at home to become the best Muslim that you can possibly be. So for me, Areeb Islam, and all of us here in the studio, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
مشفق متعطف لا ينتهي بالحصر ما أعطاه رب رحيم مشفق متعطف.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran that He created the death and the life for the purpose of testing us.
Taqwa and truthfulness, humility and repentance, kindness and gratefulness.
Are you prepared for the final exam? Are you ready?
Generosity and tenderness give true value to life.
To answer the most important exam that you will ever face.
Dr. Jonathan Gonzalez.
Live your life on purpose.
Learn to utilize every moment of life to make it meaningful and precious in Live Your Life on Purpose. Every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 11:30 a.m. UK on Peace TV.